Play it. We'll get started. All right. Well, welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. And then, Don, you're prepared to do a little presentation for us. I had talked to Holly about contributing to that, but I thought I needed a little bit of a filler today. And I want her next week to talk about the financial aspects of what she's shown with the, especially in terms of the criminal justice system. And but I know that the whole issue with the RH is a big deal to you. And so I wanted to have you and Randy maybe pipe in about this, and anybody else who wants to do it. David, you're very adamant about this as well, just like CJ, but thought I'd give Don a chance to speak for once, right? Just kidding. So let's see. The other things I was going to cover today are, yeah, I guess everybody is doing. Hey, Glenn, are you on? Can you tell me a little bit about the New York City flooding situation? I know you had a bunch of FDNY rescues, correct?
Yes, unfortunately, our infrastructure here with the sewage, I mean, it's made for like an inch and 3/4 of rain, but when it's over 2 inches at any given, time, it just floods. Highways flood, the FDR, the Belt Parkway, and so similar to that again, in different boroughs, basements flooded, and we had a couple of deaths where they went to go check on the boiler, two maintenance people, and then it was electrocuted, the water. So
Yes.
two in cardiac arrest. One they were able to get and try to resuscitate. The other one they couldn't get to because they needed the power shut off by Con Ed.
Yeah.
It wasn't as, I mean, that's terrible, but about 3 years ago, we had these floods where basement apartments, they flooded so much that people couldn't get out. And I think we had like 7 deaths just because it flooded so fast, they couldn't get out and they drowned in their basement apartment.
Okay. So that's a shame. But so do you think this is are you seeing an increased number of occasions like where this happens, because of climate change or whatever, or is this is what it's always been like for the last 20 years that you've been doing this?
No, I mean it seems to be getting worse. We're getting more flooding, and at one point we look like sometimes where the hurricanes get hit. It was very, you'd look at the news feed and you're like, "Ah, that doesn't look like Queens," but it's Queens. I mean, parts of roofs were coming off, and it was terrible.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess keep an eye on it. That's awful then that you're going to have to deal with that. God, if you got some more hurricanes coming up that way, it could be even worse, especially if it slows up there. Okay. Well, that's anything else new since I'm talking to you out of New York that we should.
No, we're getting ready for our marathon, right? It's always an event. One of the
Oh,
things
yeah.
we actually supplement it. We do assist with one tent, and then we have hospitals that put out tents at the finish line. Last year we had we often get someone going into cardiac arrest. Last year we had a 24-year-old, unfortunately, who towards the end, who died, went to cardiac arrest and died. So
I was
this
going to say,
year,
how many people die every year? That's right.
yeah, it's sometimes 1 to 2, sometimes 3, but this
Yeah.
year, based on that, the plan is to try to get maybe that patient to an ECMO center at the finish line area, which
Okay.
now we're planning ahead of time to see if we can bypass maybe even the closest, but get to the ECMO center.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting then. Well, good luck with that. How many people usually are in it? Like 30,000 or some
No, I
ridiculous?
think it's closer to 50,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's a small city right there.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's amazing.
It's
All
so
right.
fluid and dynamic, and oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
always
Fluid and dynamic. How's the weather going to be?
it's going to be cooler, but I think runners would prefer just even a little bit cooler. But it's not going
Okay.
to be warm like it has been in some cases, and that is a problem for us.
Yeah. Right. Correct. Okay, cool. All right. Well, cool. There we go. Hey, I was noticing just in the spirit of Halloween that we talked about last week, thanks to Mick and David Purse giving us the background on it. Clayton put something in the thing about boo. That's something that we say to the kids in the evening when they come collect candies. Is that what you do down there in South? Yeah.
And the Blue Jays. We boo the Blue Jays.
All right. Well, anyways, so I did get some pictures in. I think in our invitation, I did put not only the candy in there, but some goblins and what is it? The Dia de las Muertas, right? No, that I want you to. This is my neighbor on the. If you look at the invitation, there was one of the pictures that said, No trespassing. We're tired of hiding the bodies. That's actually in my neighborhood. That's why I'm so warped, that kind of thing. So, anyways, I hope everybody has a safe night with the kids. We're doing our grandchildren tonight, so that'll be kind of fun. We'll see how it goes. Eileen is going to try to get on, but she's going to be landing sometime soon, so she'll do it later. So I haven't. John, are you on? John Jew, anything to report on the infectious disease side before we go in? Talk to anyone else?
No, not really. Measles is continuing to spread. In fact, we had measles in our wastewater, and avian flu has been detected in rodents in Washington State. That's about it. The usual stuff, but nothing worth mentioning to a significant degree.
Okay, so we'll see what she has to say when we get her back on. I saw a lot of other things that are just percolating up there, particularly over in Europe. I don't know if Vicente can comment on it, but things like chikungunya is there, and various other other things that are floating around in the European side. Vicente, anything you could report on that or that you're aware of? I think most of it was in Germany and Italy, but
Yes.
anything percolating in Spain or Iceland?
I was thinking about Johan, Joey, because mosquitoes were found in Iceland, I think a couple of weeks
Huh.
for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Whoa.
They
So-
were imported probably on some
Yeah.
jet somewhere. That's what happened, So,
Yeah.
okay.
Vincente,
No.
was that near Reykjavik? Where in Iceland? I've been to Iceland 3 times.
Yes, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was in the news. It was reported that there were some mosquitoes that were alive that were found for the first time. I'm not sure about the place. It was maybe a couple of weeks ago, something like that. I might find some more details and maybe put
Yeah.
it in the chat.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's you've probably heard this from me from time to time that I continue to curse Noah because he brought on, a male and female giraffe, brought on, whatever, but he also brought in the mosquitoes, and that was a big mistake because that's one of our biggest banes of our existence. So, but that's good. Hey, Vicente, and we're going to be meeting in June. Are you be able to join us this year if I get you out there?
Most likely, yes.
Oh, good. That's fantastic then. All right. And then is there someone who took over for you in Madrid, by the way? Is that someone we could invite and get, have that contact, or would that be helpful
Yes.
for them?
Definitely, I can find the contact for you.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get a little bit more. I've just made contact with the medical director for Zurich and all that. And then when I asked my good friend Michael Frost in Vienna, who's their medical director there, he said, well, we're going to appoint you, he said. So I don't know if that means that there's none there or, or whatever, but it was kind of funny. All right. All right. Well, that's great. Okay. Well, I'll let you go. All right. Anybody else have to get off fairly soon before I embark into the other more lengthier discussions? Okay. If not, hey, Don, can you put that article that you sent to me in the chat? Would you be able to do that for me before you begin?
Yep.
And in the interim, I will tell everybody, and I guess I'll put it in the chat, that our CME for today is, to the host, our CMA is, let's see, it's 214, oh, here we go, 21426, 21426. There you go. And then for the Seagulls, if you're rejoining, if you didn't get on that, I think most of those people are still on that call. It's 21425 them. Okay, got it. So I'll take care of that. And then you're putting the other thing in the chat too as well, Don, right? That you sent me. Hopefully he's doing that right now as we speak. And there you go. Fantastic. Thank you very much. So that thing he put in the chat is has to do with what I asked him to do, is to sort of revisit the issue that still keeps coming up, and it's going to be evergreen topic in a way, because I think it's going to remain that way for a while. But we want to start pushing on is the whole issue about the RH factor. Then maybe have, if I don't know if Randy's on, but David for sure, if you could make some comments, and anybody else about this whole issue about the RH factor and some of the issues about both giving and taking blood from women. So that would be a good way of putting it, right?
Oh.
Yep. Right, Don? Okay. So, well, with that, let me see if there was any other things we wanted to get done here today. And No, I think, yeah, there's a couple other things we're gonna deal, but we could deal with those later. So this is good. And just as an advertisement, as you heard, next week, Steve Sanko, who was on the ACLS committee, is going to come in and talk a little bit what it was like to be there producing the, producing some of the guidelines that we got and recommendations. And so just so you're aware of that, that meeting well. And also next week, we hope that Holly O'Byrne, Lieutenant O'Byrne from DC, has done a fantastic piece of work in terms of the amount of money they're saving the criminal justice system, because the number of lives that are being saved because of the blood that they do. They've turned down the homicide rates to just ag assaults, right? And so it's kind of, just to give you a hint, it's going to be a very interesting talk, and that's just one aspect of it to help justify the cost of what we're doing, especially if there is those kinds of blowback. And then also Tiffany Abramson's going to come on and talk to us a little bit about that recent, what do you call it? Survey she did about EMS medical direction structures that are around the country, et cetera, and give us a report and an assessment about that. Okay, anybody else need to get off soon, or can I go ahead and embark with Don? I just want to make sure I capture everybody before it's time to get off. So that's it. All right, well then, with that, let's go ahead and hit it. Everybody knows Professor Don Jenkins from San Antonio, our hero who really helped to get all this started in the first place. So, and he has been dealing with the same issue we're about to talk about for the last 10 years. And but I think we're starting to move the needle a little bit, Don, and thanks to people like you and others. So go ahead and set us up. I think I called it Bloody Well Right and Left, how to approach the RH factor and other sex-related issues in pre-hospital transfusion. And with that, take it away.
Excellent, thanks. Hey, I just want to give a shout out to the guys in Fargo who transfused their first pre-hospital blood yesterday, which is fabulous. There's a little news release on social media all about it. Their program, the Stanford program, is called Mad Max, as in the movie.
Yeah.
With the all those anemic war boys that need a blood bag. So that's the name of their program. It's great. So anywho, there are almost no O negative pre-hospital blood transfusion programs out there. The O negative population, at least here in San Antonio, sits at about 2.5%. The overall RH negative rate in South Texas sits at about 6.5 to 7%. And so what that means to us is that we don't have enough O negative donors to support any kind of substantial program for pre-hospital transfusion. So we rely on O positive blood. That's about 45% of humans.
Hey, can I interrupt you for a second there? Yeah. Just to put that in perspective, we do need the O negative, particularly for some cancer patients, various other subgroups that really they kind of depend on that more, and so it'll be good. And then getting back to what you're saying about 40 to 45% of the population be O positive, but the whole point of why we're talking about the low titer is about what, 75% of those are low titer, correct? As what?
Yeah. So in men, it's about 87% are low antibody titer, and in women, it's about 75%.
Okay.
Are low antibody titer. And so that's more on the AB side of the equation. And we can find a single sort of high antibody titer transfusion reaction in World War II, and that antibody load in that patient was like 1 in 6,000 or something, right? So one in 256 is sort of our threshold cutoff. Other people use a little tighter than that, but probably 1 in 1,200 is probably fine. Honestly, we haven't broached that yet. So far, we may need to get there because we may not have enough donors otherwise, but we'll cross that bridge. So the real deal here now is women and children, female, who are RH negative, are then subject to the development of RHD antibody. And we've known about this forever. And the most common thing that causes that antibody transmission is childbirth. Right. So a Rh negative woman gets pregnant from an Rh positive man, and at the time of childbirth, admixing of the fetal blood with the mom can cause Rhd antibody that can result in future pregnancy difficulty with fetal hydrops or what we would call today hemolytic disease of the fetus and newborn. And so that requires very special obstetric care, monitoring of that fetus, looking at transcranial Doppler flow measurements, et cetera, et cetera. In the state of Texas, the only place that can do the intrauterine transfusions to keep that baby alive is in Dallas. As it would turn out, and so the entire state relies on them. But it's why there's RhoGAM and like antibody to or immunization to administer to mitigate that to a degree. The issue is that is incidental. Admixing is the experience and the typical dosing. We're talking about like massive exposure to that woman. And so the development of the antibodies is in question then. But the problem is that these women and girls potentially escape the notification, the realization that they have just been given a high dose Rh positive blood, and they have an Rh negative blood type, that they could develop those antibodies, and therefore down the line have hemolytic disease of the fetus and newborn susceptibility. And so the RhoGAM dosing is meant for this incidental sort of low volume exposure, not necessarily for the high end exposure. And in fact, if the blood volume received by that Rh negative female is too high, you can actually incite hemolytic transfusion reaction by giving them the RhoGAM. And so we have written, and that's what's in that article, a sort of a cutoff threshold for the amount of transfusion received by that Rh negative woman to qualify to get RhoGAM. And in a lot of centers, the amount of RhoGAM required would take days to administer potentially and outstrip the supply for the entire hospital, maybe the entire region. And so what we have done here is taken the tack that in order to preserve that RhoGAM for all the incidental exposures that happen on an everyday basis, that we would probably not give RhoGAM under the circumstances of this emergency transfusion in the pre-hospital setting if they get more than 1 unit of whole blood, and that'd be on a weight basis, a volume basis for children. The most important thing that has to happen is then the antibody screening done at a minimum of 14 weeks post-exposure, and the education that they may develop the antibody. Mark Yeaser and company out of Pittsburgh published something about the trajectory, the rate over time of development of RHD antibody, and they suggest that in fact antibody testing negative at week 14 may turn positive yet out to 6 months, maybe theoretically even longer than that. And so that's why the recommendation is to counsel, educate, get the antibody screening, refer to a gynecology and or pediatrician if it's a child, And in the future, if that woman desires a pregnancy or becomes pregnant, that they should probably get the antibody testing done at that time, which I think is pretty standard practice anyway in the OB world. That newly pregnant woman would get tested so that they can be closely monitored if indeed they have the RHD antibody at that point. The issue is for the trauma centers who have robust PI programs, et cetera. They got eyes on this, and there hopefully is not much of an issue. It's all the other patients, the GI bleed patient, the potentially the peripartum hemorrhage patient, or other reasons, right? Why these women would bleed. There has to be a mechanism in place by which your center takes in these patients that have been transfused somewhere else by someone else, and provides the education, counseling, and antibody testing, and potentially treatment. It's not terribly time sensitive. You got a couple of days to give the ROGAM if that person is eligible. In our own setting, we've now transfused over 15,000 units of whole blood that have in our center, 3,500 in the pre-hospital setting. And I can count on my two hands the number of Rh negative women and children, girls that have been exposed just because the incidence of the Rh negative blood type is so low, and almost none of them qualified to receive ROGAM for any number of reasons, not the least of which is that they've already had a sterilization procedure. And so it doesn't matter if they develop that Rh negative, or they've had all the kids they ever intend to have, et cetera. Almost none need or get ROGAM, but the education and counseling part is really, really important. And we're like causing an epidemic of this at this point with these 300 pre-hospital sites that we have, et cetera. And so that we have to have a conscious plan.
Let me interrupt you there. When you say we're creating an epidemic, what do you mean? Epidemic of what?
Of exposure of Rh negative females to Rh positive blood in the pre-hospital setting. So we all have to actively take a role in that. We can't be passive about it. The hospitals have to have a program. Emergency medicine physicians, taking in non-trauma patients. The trauma center isn't going to pick up on that, right? That's going to have to be on the EM side, on the hospital side of the equation.
Yeah. So yeah, this would be a great topic, especially if we go back to the American College of Emergency Physicians or some of those areas to do such education. So let me ask you this: in terms of the women testing about their situation or their blood types or whatever, does our transfusion affect that, or is it independent? Is it testing independent of that?
Yeah, testing is independent of that, and different people have different approaches to that. I will tell you that one of the issues is if these people are going to have to come back and get this testing done, who's going to pay for that, right? That's not an insurance cover thing. So here in South Texas, we have talked with the hospital, and they have agreed that this would come at no cost to those patients. And in backup, South Texas Blood and Tissue has said they would provide the testing if there was just something, there was no other way to do it. And it is fascinating that a couple of these, the parents of some of these girls we've contacted, they're like, I don't know if I want to get that testing done or not. I don't know. Right. It's just, it's funny. But when you look at all of the, there's several studies. Holcomb and Company did this when they were, out of Houston and UAB. When they ask parents, when they ask women about this, they say, "Well, of course, save my life, save my child's life. We'll deal with the rest." And it's like universal. So yeah, but you've got to be conscientious and get the test and give the education counseling, and that's
Yeah.
all laid out in that manuscript. We are about to submit the pediatric, what we call the females of future childbearing potential
Okay.
manuscript that'll go into a supplement in transfusion, but it covers specifically for the girls.
Okay, so sort of some bottom line takeaways, I guess, on the EMS side is one, this should not keep us, this concern should not keep us from transfusing people with our low titer or O positive blood. Going forward, if there's a woman who's at risk for dying, from hemorrhage, whatever the cause is, GI, OB, trauma, etc., we should be pretty aggressive about doing it. Just the follow-up portion is the important aspect to add into it, correct?
That is correct. And the guys in Pittsburgh, they had an ethicist weigh in with them and found that there should never be a bias against females to not transfuse them for a theoretical concern about something that might happen in the future at a low incidence if they got pregnant. Right. I mean, there's so many ifs about the thing versus saving the life. And the women have told us that in surveys, and the parents have told us that in surveys.
Right.
And it bears out when you call, when you talk to them, when you educate them, that's what they yes, thank you for saving my life. That's the
Right.
answer. That's the answer
Yeah.
at the time.
Right, yeah, so that's straightforward. And then the next thing is that we were talking about how money has come in to help with programs, or we have funding sources for it. That's the other issue. Or when we have Holly on next week to talk about how she's justified it, maybe some of that, money for testing could actually be part of the package you do when you do your budgeting for setting up programs like this. Just, anyways, just a thought. And
Yeah, it
yeah,
certainly could be. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, and okay, let's, David, you've been always barking in my ear about this over the period of time in a very positive way. And David Miramontes, anything you can say to, to add to what he said or reinforce what he said?
Yes, so this reinforced if you're going to do blood, you should do blood as a system of care in your region so that you're able to, everyone knows you can go to a blood bank and buy blood, keep it for 30 days and waste it. But if you're not in that system of care where there's checks and balances and double checks. So in our region, the way we're addressing it is it's everybody's problem. So it's the MS medical director's problem. It's the ER physician who receives the patient's problem. It's the blood bank's problem. It's the admitting hospital person's problem. It's everybody's problem. But the issue is making sure everyone in this system of care is aware that this O negative mom got O positive blood and to do the next step, right? So that's the whole point of building a system of care. And this means, God forbid, EMS physicians have to talk to the blood bankers and the OBGYN docs and things, people we don't usually have coffee with in the doctor's, right? These are, so this is hard work. The big thing is making sure that at least the blood bank is aware, and you get that blood bag with the segs of the blood that was given, so they can do the post-transfusion cross, which is required by AAB standards for the blood banks. But if they don't get it, it won't trigger it, and they won't do it.
Let me.
So
go ahead,
programmatically, what we've done here in South Texas is we provide a blood transfusion form that's got the blood bag info on the form. It's got pertinent info about the unit, the folks that gave the transfusion, so that we can contact them later if we need to, et cetera. On that form, we have now included a big statement that pushes this point that you are getting a patient who got an uncross-matched Rh positive blood product. If they are Rh negative, you need to treat them appropriately and contact the blood bank and the potentially OB. We have a laminated card that we hand out. We've worked out the way by which The receiving hospital's blood bank gets a fax into their blood bank that says the same exact thing. Hey, a woman could just, of childbearing potential or future childbearing potential child just got an Rh positive blood product. You need to track this down.
Well, block out October 5th through the 8th for me, Don, and for a trip to Chicago, okay? And we'll talk, because we'll have the American College of Emergency Physicians, but we're going to be doing more of this earlier, like that week of June 1st to the 5th at Eagles as well. I think this is a good topic to bring up and reinforce to everybody. But we talked about banks. How about Eric Bank? Okay. Eric, anything you would add to this, since you guys did some of that original work?
So first, definitely echo what Dr. Jenkins and Dr. Miramontes said. It's a system of care, and you just need to have a education plan and a plan in place. If you're not using I know everybody wants to get away from paper. If you're not using a paper form for transfusion, you should. Because we all know the paramedic doesn't have time to finish the EPCR all the time. That's essential that the blood bank gets that document.
Yep.
But I'm going to talk from the blood banker standard, because I just came back from the AABB conference and did some presentations there, and the heightened awareness of this across the country is there, but the scary threat level is not where it's at, because they're starting to understand what we're doing, that we have systems in place. The new guidelines definitely have helped, but there still are several places across the country where they will absolutely put up a red flag, in the ground, saying, no, you cannot give this to female patients, which, again, I think goes against everything that we're doing. And at the end of the day, like you said, if the patient doesn't survive, then this doesn't really become an issue. I think, Dr. James can correct me. I think Yazer's paper was something like a 2.7%.
Yeah, it's 3%.
3%. So he kind of does this Swiss cheese model, and that every hole in the Swiss cheese has to line up perfectly.
Yeah.
And he emphasizes the first thing is that the patient has to survive. So this is taking traction as we're going up over, as Dr. Jenkins pointed out, up over the 300 mark and coming out of that early adopter curve, and just make sure that the safety rails are kind of in place, and that this is part of the education rollout when it comes through. And absolutely, because this has come up, and I know Randy's not here, and this is Randy's dealt with this before too. RhoGAM is not a pre-hospital medication. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not. So please don't take that I'm like telling you guys what to do. But RhoGAM is not a pre-hospital medication, but it has been in some guidelines.
Yeah, but it has to be. Oh wow! So they're actually having their guidelines for EMS.
There are a few people that Randy has dealt with where it was actually in their guidelines.
Oh,
like, yeah, no,
okay.
Take that out. Yeah.
So the point, though, is it has to be part of your plan, but later, over several days, as Don nicely said, and gave the okay sign too.
Yeah, so Dr. Miramontes would say, give the damn blood, but don't give the damn RhoGAM. Right, Doc? Yes, I see his head shaking.
Yes, that's right.
So,
all right. Well,
thank you.
We ain't got time. In operations, we can always say like the meme, we ain't got time for that, right?
Oh, and I did drop in the chat. There's a organization called Allo Hope that Thor and AABB both deal with, that has to do with allo immunization in females. They're 100% behind patients getting blood products, and it's a great resource website. So I dropped it into the chat.
And that organization is almost exclusively moms who have the antibody and have had HDFN issues.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
And they're saying don't withhold transfusion. Just educate the women and the parents.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. All right. Well, I don't know if we've beat this enough, or I think we reinforced it enough that most of us will retain this and keep it in mind. But the good news, we've learned a plan of action here. And if anybody is running into problems in their area, give you a call, right?
Yes. And if you want any of the resource materials, we pretty much laid out in that manuscript the like what to say, what to do, how to do the follow-up, it's how to provide the counseling, etc. If you want more details than that, if you want to see a copy of our form or a laminated card or any of that sort of business, happy to share.
And wouldn't be complete without me talking to our Rocco Miranda award winner, Dr. Kramer, And John, anything else to add to the discussion, or just a thumbs up on everything you heard today, or anything you'd want to reinforce?
No, absolutely fantastic discussion. Just reinforce one of Eric's later comments, the post-transfusion testing and program administration is not an EMS issue. It's got to
Yeah.
be part of the system, but not in the protocols.
Okay, got it. And John, hey, I guess we're probably at a time to transition to the next topic that we're going to do. But just while I have you on there, John, anything you could tell us about NHTSA, Department of Transportation, or particularly the Office of EMS? Are there significant issues going on there, or or even organizational livelihood there?
Well, the one thing that's nice about the Office of EMS is that their funding is not from general appropriations funding. It's from highway transportation appropriations. So they are able to continue to work. The scope of their work, howsoever, is a little bit narrow. They're unofficially sneaking some EMS stuff in because of the infrastructure funding being separate funding. They can continue to work on some of the infrastructure things and supporting EMS blood programs. So they're still there. Their work is a little bit limited because of the funding.
Yeah. And then, because I was talking to, and what's the status with FEMA right now? Because I was on another call yesterday talking about that. I said I want to create some just-in-time courses. This is the National Disaster Life Support Group, and I said I'm recommending that we start some courses right away, even if just-in-time training courses, if not a preparatory course for people about EMPs and or even just total. I think what they're calling it nowadays is power grid perturbations, like we saw in Spain, et cetera, and so on. So what I was getting at is that what's the status of FEMA and where are we on that?
Well, FEMA is continuing its essential operations activities. The training aspects of it are limited right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that's one of the issues that that we I just hope we don't have any major tragedy too soon. We have major tragedies all the time, but not a major one as we all would understand. Okay. With that, let's go ahead and move on. Thank you, John, and again, congratulations to you, etc. Where are you heading to now?
Oh, it's Maryland.
David, you're live. David Miramontes, you're live. Okay. John, where are you heading to? May I ask? Unless it's inappropriate. Kramer.
No, if I can get off mute here. Heading to Orlando.
Oh, good. Okay, good. What's happening down there?
Family time.
Oh, good. Good for you. That's fantastic. All right, good. Yeah, I'm doing the grandchildren doing the Halloweeny thing tonight, so it'll be fun. All right, good. Thanks a lot, John, and thanks for your friendship. All right, let's go ahead and move around. There's a couple. One of the things I want to do, say, hey, Johnette, are you on with us today from Brevard County? Johnette has this great organization called the Space Coast Health Foundation, and they really support problems, especially as when EMS got into trouble. They were able to raise to the occasion, and she joined us last year at the Eagles meeting. And then you had to be out of town during our presentations there in Brevard County. What have you heard about it? Any good, positive or negative feedback or anything like that at all?
Unfortunately, I've been out of town a lot, so I've not heard. We do have an access to healthcare meeting next week, so next Thursday. So I hope to get some updates then.
And I'll get on that. But I don't know, did I send you the copy of the commissioners meeting where they really were actually very positive? That was good. So
that was great.
Yeah. So, okay, well, good. Well, I think a lot came out of it too. And then David Miramontes, you were there, and so Charlie Sand, you were there as well. And Charlie, was there? You come to all these meetings, and what did you think? How was the meeting there? Did you have any feedback about it? Is there anything you would do differently?
No, nothing different. I thought it was superb. I always say that about your meetings, and they are superb. But it was really it always is cutting edge information. It was right on. you had a good variety of everything. I mean, you had advocacy stuff, and we had some policymakers there, as you know, which
Yes.
some of us talk to on the side. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna follow up on some meetings with Congressman Bilirakis, with the congressman there in Melbourne. But
Yeah.
I thought it
I
was
think it's funny they're both. I think it's funny they're both Greek, right?
yeah. No, I was just on the phone with Jerry Custon yesterday, by the way, and he knows that, and he goes, absolutely, Bilirakis will want to meet with a fellow Greek, and we'll go to Tarpon Springs at your favorite restaurant that we
Yeah,
ate.
you got to bring me then. Okay, that sounds good.
Actually,
Jeanette,
I will. Yeah, remind me, but I will. I'll remember.
I'm
But
going to come back to you in a second, Charlie. Jeanette, you had your hand up, and your yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to also mention that I did meet with Congressman Herodopoulos last week.
Okay, yeah.
And I did raise the issue with him about reimbursement only to an ER, and let him know that that was a Medicare ruling that other insurances have followed. And so he did offer to at least look into that. Don't know where that will take us, but we're trying.
Can you, Jeanette, I'm sorry, Paul, can you send me, or through Paul, send me that information just so I can collaborate with Congressman Bilirakis on that, please? Thanks.
Sure.
Okay.
And then this is a little bit of a side note for Charlie, because I do want to honor him as well. But you're retiring now after being sort of the chair of your local region for stroke awareness and stroke registries, right? And,
yeah, so I'll give you I know you like the Cliff Note version. I'll give you the 1 minute or 30 second. So in 2001, we started a regional effort, 16 counties in West Central Florida, to basically improve stroke care in our region. And I think we're one of the first, if not the first in the country to do that, where we had meetings twice a year. We collaborated, we shared ideas. Everyone got better because we shared good ideas, just like you do with Eagles. And you really drop the egos, drop the competition, everyone worked together. And from that, in 2001, we now have, 11 or 12, Paul, you're on the executive committee with me for FSR, and so is Peter and Shepke and all the gang, and Angus is. So we have something like 12 coalitions in Florida, and you have a great one there in Broward, and you have annual, periodic meetings where Burjesh gives case, stuff like that. So it has been just a fabulous way to share ideas. And when we had our annual meeting in Tampa, it just happened to be in Tampa in August, as Paul was there, as were others, we had a coalition of coalition meetings where all the 10 or 11 or 12 coalitions got together and shared ideas. So it's an idea. The reason I'm going through all this, and I'm happy to share more if you ever want it, we need to really expand that nationwide, that whole concept. Thanks.
So you have the coalition, so it's a coalescing of coalitions, right?
Yeah. And to Paul's point, I've been to chair with Kathy Fenlon, who I knew at American Heart Days, ASAHA Days from Florida. And we have been co-chairs since 2001, and we're both finally stepping off and letting some new blood do that. But I'm going to continue with these efforts, but that's what Paul was referring to.
Is there an event that's happening, a day or a time? And where is that?
So on November 12th, we're having our last meeting, and the last 90 minutes are going to be a who's who of people giving the Eagles type 3 to 5 minute presentation where everyone says what they did for stroke and what they thought of coalition. And Paul, and you ready for this name? Who gave? Because he's a good friend. I did training up at Emory when he was there. Corey Slovis gave I told Corey, give, you got 5 minutes, and he did 4 minutes, but he gave the 5 things he likes about Charlie Sand. You'll see it November 12th.
All right. Thank you for letting me know that. And congratulations. How many years did you serve there?
Since whatever, I can't count, 24 years.
Okay, got it. Well, thank you for all
we're still
a
member. I'm still a member. I'm just not going to chair.
Right, well, I hope you stick with us here at Eagles and come to the meeting in Fort Lauderdale at the very least, right? And so on. And but for everybody's knowledge, Charlie was always doing just really cool things over the years, helping out with the Heart Association, getting things done, mass CPR training courses and things like that. But really helped us get legislation done in the state, and he's working on it in various regions here, not just in terms of stroke, but in terms of blood and so on, and making sure he has such great relationships with how the various elected officials. It's been just a boon to have him on board. So I wanted to thank him for everything he's done for us, etc. So on.
I appreciate that, Paul. It only took about 30 to 35 years of building up to this point. So just pointing that out.
Well, it does take time. It's great. And you did it well. You served your time well, and you're continuing to serve. All
Thanks.
right, hey, David, you were there at the Brevard County. I thought all the talks I heard. We had David Pearce come on last week and do the thing about the mobile stroke unit and how he funded it. That was a great talk. I thought, he was very convincing. And then I'm going to have maybe him come back again next week and have some of the others that are running stroke units talk about their units, both in Los Angeles and in Columbus, et cetera. But anything else that you took away from there that was helpful? Obviously you contribute on the blood end, on the stroke end, et cetera. Your VAN score was great talk, right?
Yeah. So yes. So you believe it or not, all that stuff is sexy, like stroke units and whole blood and all this other stuff. But I'll tell you, the one session or group of sessions that really caught my attention had nothing to do with any of that. It had to do with cardiac arrest systems of care. And it's simple, stupid stuff.
Yeah.
We get all lost in all this ECMO and cardiac arrest management and what are the latest guidelines, when actually the thing that really makes the most impact in any cardiac arrest patient has nothing to do with that. It's really recognizing arrest, getting hands on the chest, community-based response with responders that are going to actually put hands on the chest, AEDs. We've talked about the Avive AED, notification systems where when you pop the pads, it notifies a 911 center that you have an arrest and gives the geolocation of it. The pulse points, the various Good SAM notification systems. I think that is where, personally, in my system, I think that's where we're falling down. And to be honest with you, the Heart Safe City program where we're teaching basic CPR, having the CPR Everywhere kits, the blow up doll from American Heart, they're cheap, like $10, and doing CPR education. And my medical students a couple of years ago had a very interesting tactic. We go to these health fairs and farmers markets and kiosks at airports and all that stuff. But these medical students were really smart. And what they said is there is a captive audience on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays in our houses of worship, whether it be synagogue, temple, mosque, or in any of the Christian or Catholic churches. And what they did is actually a faith-based education program to do CPR education. It doesn't have to be extensive. You don't need the stupid American Heart Association super card and pay $25. All you need to do is get hands on chest. And this idea of engaging dispatch in that process, I think we're missing a lot of saves from very simple, low tech interventions that we can do in our own systems. And I think that's the thing that just kind of went, oh my God, I'm an idiot. Why am I not doing this? Right? I think that's what came out of that.
Yeah. So I think that's great. And actually, that might be a good thing for you to remind me, because I gave part of the talk about things I've learned over the years to, from mass CPR training sessions to getting the county commissioners or the city council members, learning CPR, that they got the whole of the city. The cities are usually the largest employers. So starting with them as examples have been very useful. So I may come on, and I told you a story about when I talked to the bishop in Pittsburgh, right? He when I was having problems getting it done in the public schools, get the training done. I just happened to run into him at the mayor's office, and he said, what are you doing? I said, oh, we're trying to get CPR at the schools, and we're having some obstruction. He goes, hey, that's a cool idea. And he puts it in the Catholic school. So when they did it, then the public schools followed. So there's just all these little fun nuances. And I think you're right about the faith-based approach to it. It's really there. So I'll come in, I'll do a talk with you, and you and I can both do a little more follow-up and do a more formal presentation on that concept, et cetera.
And our European friends are so much smarter than we are. So I put in the chat YouTube link. It's called Sexy CPR. Absolutely brilliant.
Okay.
What they did is they got a lingerie company to sponsor these public service assistant things. And when you watch this, it will get your attention, right? Especially if you're a male. And actually, to be honest with you, when they did the survey, the females were looking at this more so at the lingerie, not the women.
Anyway, That's
You have
good.
to get your attention, right? And this
That's
was
good.
really a cool way of doing it. The other thing that the Brits do is they get their television celebrities and soccer or I'm sorry, football folks to do these also. And that again gets the attention.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is not rocket science. Hands on chest, push hard, push fast, don't stop.
So two things about it, I think, if there's anything, is the KISS method, right? Keep it simple. I mean, when I do training, sometimes it's like, I said, what's the one thing you need to know about choking? Pop the cork, not like where you place your hands or how many inches.
Yeah.
You don't make it. You just get under this, like pop that cork. Or what about AEDs? All you need to know is two things about AEDs. Know where it is, go get it and turn it on. So you make it very simple as you get through this. Number one. And number two is all the stuff that they get on. They talk about epinephrine, they talk about ECMO, they talk about whatever it might be, whatever it is. What it really comes down to is one single word, which is time. Time to that CPR, time to whatever. I think that's the thing we need to do more and more and focus on, and not so much a binary approach about something's good or bad, because a lot of the studies have been so, what's the word, confounded by the time factor. So that's it. All right, so enough of that going on, but thank you, David. It was great you're there. Mark, you got your hand up from San
just a
Jose.
quick point on CPR. One of the things we're doing at Stanford now, I don't know when it's coming out for publication or if it has yet, but we're doing transesophageal endoscopic ultrasound during CPR.
Yeah.
And one of the consistent findings that we're seeing is that very, very often, more than half the time, we're doing CPR and compressing the aortic outflow tract instead of actually compressing the ventricles.
Yeah.
So I've been actually encouraging my folks to start getting down as close to the xiphoid as possible during CPR, and we'll see if we have any better outcomes from that.
Yeah, yeah. And that's that. Yeah, I agree with you. And that's been a thing that Scott Youngkus was showed us 10, 15 years ago. And it's sometimes what you guys have probably found when you've been doing this, I bet, Mark, is actually, it's not just near the xiphoid, but maybe over to the left a little bit, that you could actually find a perfect can position if you happen to have your neighborhood TEE available, right?
Yeah, which we do in the ED, but not out in the field yet.
Yeah, right. Okay. Nick, what do you have to say out of Minneapolis? Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to offer an amen to David Miramonte's comments on, I think the basics are important. The basics are the things that matter. And, I live and work in the eCPR capital of the world, and we don't do it because it's so distracting for such a small number of patients that that's it. I think it's something we need to be talking about more. So I appreciate those comments.
Yeah. Well, that's true. And, and everything is good. It just, and again, all of it comes down to time, and all of it's making it simple so the average person can contribute to that. And that's what happened for us in Seattle way back when, is that we made it simple for people. So many people were doing CPR that when we arrived, there were family members doing CPR. Someone was calling us while someone else was doing it. And just the earlier the intervention, the better results. It's interesting because I don't know if Ben, are you on by any point? Ben, are you here? Weston, are you on with us? Maybe he's looking around for his thing. I don't know if he's there or not. But one of the things I always thought was interesting is that early studies where people do binary equations, whether it's bystander CPR, we actually looked closer at when the CPR was being performed. We were fortunate because we had so many people trained in Seattle, over half the population, that we could see it being done very early on, and it made a big difference versus someone getting the security guard down the hall or the nurse from across the street, et cetera, and all that. And so I think we're all riding on the same theme. Let's have a little session on this sometime. Maybe we'll, because I didn't mean to have this impromptu talk, but it's obviously near and dear to me. So I just wanted to thank you for and how are you doing, by the way, Nick? Okay.
Doing well. We're probably close to a month into our blood program. We haven't gotten whole blood yet, but a big thanks to this group for being a sounding board, sharing your experiences. I cannot imagine having a smoother rollout. And I think it is because I've learned from, the last 300 agencies that have done it. And It's been very smooth for us. So I very much appreciate all the insights you guys have shared. It's been super helpful.
Glad to hear that then. I gotta come up and visit with you again. We need to do some more runs, okay?
Sounds
I'll let
good.
you know. That sounds good. Because I always love to come up in the middle of winter and freeze, right? We're
Yes,
actually cold here today. It's gonna be it's gonna be like 35 degrees tonight when the kids are Halloweening, that kind of thing. So that's
it's
gonna
like
be interesting
state of
here.
emergency there. Yeah.
I'm loving it, because when they wear those costumes, it keeps them warm, that kind of thing. So, all right, so let's go on and just move around around the horn. Anybody has to get off early, let me know, and I'll bring you in. Jared, down in Nashville, I hadn't heard from you for a couple weeks, so just wanted to check in with you. Anything new happening there? What are you guys up to?
Not a ton new going on. We did roll out Lucas devices with selected use, so we'll see how that goes. It's been going well so far. And I guess the only other big thing is Vanderbilt's now good at football again, so getting ready for the Texas game this weekend.
That's right. That's good, and so that's right up your alley, since you do mass gathering medicine so well.
That's exactly right. We're excited.
I know. Hey, and so Jared, seriously, if you have any events coming up, like we talked about in the past, I'd love to come up and help you out, because I learned so much from that. So thank you. If you don't mind, keep me in mind, okay? So,
Will do.
Make me part of whatever you're doing. All right. So then got you. I'm trying to think who I hadn't talked to for a bit. Keegan, anything you could tell us out of Arlington, Texas?
Yeah, so we've had the blood going for almost a month, and it's been better than we expected.
Okay, sorry about that. Hey, Keegan, I'm sorry about that. Oh, all right, go ahead. Yes, go ahead. Say that again.
Oh, I was saying, yes, we've had our blood up and running for about a month now, and it's been better than we expected. We've been giving it a lot more than I anticipated, and we've had some really great outcomes from it. So we've been really excited about that. But
so when you said better than expected, you meant you're using it more than you thought, and you're seeing good outcomes, right? So what do
exactly.
you when you say we're seeing good outcomes? What are you basing that on? Is it some kind of historical compression? Is it just a vibe? Is it what is that? How do you come to that conclusion?
Well, it's partly a lot of the patients they've been selecting. We haven't had a lot of misfires where they said, well, we weren't sure, so we just did it. And they haven't been missing on people where we're like, man, we wish we were giving it on this patient.
Yeah.
They've been pretty accurate with their patient selection. And we've had people, most of the few we've done thus far have been put in the ICU, getting MTP. So I think this has really been the bridge to them even receiving a patient like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
And then,
have we heard yet anything about how that has decreased the number of mass transfusion protocols in the hospital?
My number guys are going to be digging into that once we've been kind of up and running for a month or so. They'll start maybe looking at that with the hospitals. But we also just finished Metro X, which was the big disaster exercise over 3 days over the entire DFW region. It went really well. Had I don't know how many numerous agencies involved with it. I think one of our guys ended up getting like a $600,000-$700,000 grant to put it on, but it was really cool. They worked it out of Six Flags everywhere.
Yeah,
a lot of really neat things going on, getting ready for Indy and then FIFA coming up. So it's a good little trial.
Well, again, hey, as another reminder, same thing I just said to Jared, please get me to come over if you have any planning meetings, because I'd love to learn about all that. Okay, so which is good.
Yeah. It's still a little shady, so I don't want to waste y'all's time. I like to get y'all involved once it's a little more worth your while.
Yeah. Okay, good. And I want to talk to your folks also that are doing the Revive up in their cities, like I think, was it Carrollton or one of those others up there, correct? If you could plug me in with them, that would be great.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to Mark, since from San Jose, since you got to be heading out pretty soon.
Yeah, we kind of have a lot going on, but doing a lot of airway training with our new video laryngoscopes. But the more kind of neat thing that we did last week is we brought all the residents from Stanford Emergency Medicine to the Fire Department Training Center and had their disaster day training there with the USAR team. And I actually purchased several cadaver limbs, and we did some, field amputation orientation and was extremely popular. It was many
sounds
considered
like
the best training they've
sounds
had.
like it's cutting edge stuff.
Yeah, those things cost an arm and a leg though, so
Good
can't
one.
get too many.
All right, fantastic. You can become you can get into my club here with
Yeah.
your PPMI, pump per minute
I
index.
knew it was going to
high.
come out, so I figured I'd get out ahead of it.
That's great. Okay, good for you. That's how I got into my critical care fellowship. They said I had a high PPMI, a good pun per minute index. So that was great. All right, so great. Thank you, Mark. And and thanks as usual. How's things going? Are you still having the issues or lack of issues with wall time because of your administration? How's that going?
Yeah, we still really don't have any wall time issues, and we are making progress. One of the hospitals up in Sacramento that was kind of the poster child for terrible changed their processes and essentially limited their wall times as 2. And they have been very open about telling about how they did it. And so it's kind of taking the excuses away from a lot of other places. So we're getting there, but it's slow.
Yeah. Just if you give me the 30-second version, and this for Jeanette's purposes, tell them what the major thing was that helped you from getting the wall times.
Well, we send a huge number of our patients to the waiting room, our ambulance patients. And as our nursing supervisors pointed out, we have about a 70-bed ED. And when you have that large an ED, you've got a bed turning over on average about every 4 minutes, either a patient going to the floor or getting discharged. So really hard to justify hours-long wait times if that's the case. So, we are admittedly pretty well staffed in terms of many EDs, but it's really just a culture across the board that it's just not an acceptable strategy.
Right, and it came from the chief nursing officer down, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, got it. Yeah, so it can be done. So but maybe but who knows? Maybe there's not. Is there less attrition there? Are you well staffed, et cetera? Maybe that's
we're well staffed. We are a very, very well paid nursing staff. It is kind of a destination for nursing staff. We have nurses commuting from North Carolina, Colorado, Idaho, who come in, they do a series of shifts and then go home. So definitely a desirable place for them to work.
Sometimes that creates more of a problem because then they have to ask the other nurses who are busy as it is how to help them with a thing like whatever, getting the drug box out or whatever it might be, right? Do you see that, or are they doing okay?
No, these are permanent staff nurses who just live in other states and commute in and do their shifts and then go home.
Oh, interesting then. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Okay, good. Well, fantastic. And how long do they stay for at a time?
The nurses coming in?
Yeah.
Some of them have been there for years and years.
No, but
I know one guy.
If they're in North Carolina, then they
they'll come in and they'll do it's a good question. I think they typically stay for a couple of weeks and then go back home for several weeks, and so kind of bounce back and forth that way.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yeah, that kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
All right, so it's good. That's great. Hey, let me take the opportunity to go over and maybe for me some sad news, but I just wanted to go to Jacob. And Jacob, tell us, good news for you, bad news for us. Jacob, Doc.
Yep, I was trying to get off mute here.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Paul. I was caught me a little off guard there, but that's totally fine. Yeah, I am.
But you don't have to say anything if you don't want to. That's okay, right?
No. That's I'm totally fine. So just news, I'm going to be transitioning out of my role at Denver Health, and my wife and I are going to be moving to a more rural area. I'm still going to be working in the emergency department and hope to be, will be continued to be involved with EMS stuff. But we are newly empty nesters, and with some other personal stuff going on, it was just wasn't necessarily a change I was actively seeking, but as we all know, in emergency medicine and life, sometimes changes and opportunities come up, and this was one to work in on the western slope of Colorado, a more rural area, but in an emergency department in a small Democratic group with a bunch of ex-Denver Health folks and a really strong EMS group, albeit in a very different application than Denver Health. So a lot of mixed emotions for me, but I'm definitely very, very proud of what we've done at Denver Health and what I've been able to do with Shay kind of in this little bit of a new arrangement in the city and county of Denver with two medical directors and our transition. So
what's Amy going to be doing? Is she going to be working there? She's, for everybody else's purposes, she's a nurse practitioner, if I remember, right?
Yep. She's a nurse midwife. She's working on job options right now and having helped me through medical school and residency. She's kind of excited for a little bit of a ramp down with things. So it's a huge change, but we'll be posting that job here shortly.
And what about Anya? Is she in college now? And
both kids. We've got a kid in
Elijah?
college in Santa Monica in California, and then a son who just submitted all of his college applications like in the last 12 hours.
Okay, that's Elijah, right? If I remember correctly. Yeah, it's good. Okay, well, good. Well, anyways, thanks a lot. So I guess this is a good time for me to, you're welcome to always be with us. You're part of our family now and all that. So let's move on and maybe run over to, to Shay. Shay, are you on with us today? I don't know if Shay, are you still there or were you there? I thought you were here today. Anybody see him or did Shay have to take off? I thought he was there. So who knows?
He's on there. You may have just got him off guard. We both have to be out at our dispatch center shortly here with our CMO. So he may be on his way out there.
I'll give it one more shot. Shay Gillum. So, okay, well, tell him we said hi and we wanted to hear what he had to say. So hopefully he'll still be on with us, correct? And keep us apprised about what's going on there. Okay, good. All right, let's move on. Let's go. Why don't we, while we have the time, let's go over to Iceland quickly. And Vicente, anything new we should know about happening in your land? Besides mosquitoes.
yes, that was the highlight. Yes, we are getting new ventilators for our cars. So all paramedic staffed ambulances will have a top end ventilators for BiPAP and invasive, non-invasive, you name it. So we are happy with that upgrade.
One of the things that hadn't been in the protocols here for a while, but then we said, why are we not, was doing CPAP for pediatrics, children. Are you doing that there?
Yes, but to a very limited number of patients. So we are high hopes in our new ventilators to invite to do that more often and bring the patients in a better status to the hospital.
Cool. Well, as you do that, give us some feedback about how that worked out, et cetera. Because I think most of us are encouraged about doing that now. And so that'd be great to get some information from you. Thank you. All right. And then go ahead.
Yeah, we have an opportunity now. There's a legislation change. Ministry of Health is going to change the legislation over emergency services. And so there's a circulating draft out there. So there will be there's a council of ambulance that is going to be meeting next week, and then we are going to criticize the draft and propose changes to the text. They are very courageous, and they are going to include in the legislation standard response times for the whole country. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's difficult. You can't apply one thing to the whole thing. I mean, it sounds good. And again, part of the issue about response times is, for which kind of calls. If it's a respiratory or cardiac, whatever, yeah. But if it's, a broken leg, it would actually be counterproductive, I guess, in that situation. So you guys know all that. So we'll leave it up to you. But tell us how that comes out. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And next week there will be a new meeting of the Nordic Baltic EMS group that's going to gather in Helsinki. We're talking about lots of stuff, and we have a small group focused on high frequency callers and how to tackle that. So we are building up a multinational strategy to try to share good practices there.
Oh, please let us know what you find out and what you plan to do there, especially on the. Be great. You'll have a lot of input for that. That's excellent. And of course, it depends on different areas, but if you have some really good strategies that'll help us out, we'd love to hear it. Okay, so good. All right. Well, thank you very much. Let's jump over to since we're over on that side of the Atlantic. Let's talk to Mick. Anything, Professor, from your end?
We're just coming up to the 25th anniversary of our Pre-Hospital Care Council inauguration. So that was the legislation set up to legislate paramedics. Previously, it had just been an advisory committee. So we've got a nice celebration of all the people who've been involved with the council for the last 25 years coming to that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a couple of people deceased along the way, but that's they'll be remembered on the day. Currently, we're going through another weather warning for flooding. So we're getting tail ends of some of the storms you guys have had in the States.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, not much.
Okay, got it. All right. Well, good. It was great to see you. And then you got June 1st through the 5th blocked out as well, right?
Yeah,
and,
I do.
maybe, well, you and I should work on maybe also plugging in some other folks from that side of the world for the group as well, since we've lost, I guess, it looks like we've lost Pierre pretty much, and so I just want to see who else we can start bringing in from over there, so which would help. I just always like to have that perspective. Okay. Let's hey, Kevin, Joel's. I mean, might as well ask you since you're with the IAFC EMS committee, and Jim is on an airplane right now, Augustine. So I usually get a report about IAFC from him. But anything you can report?
Nothing substantial. We are going to attend the Midwest Pre-Hospital Whole Blood Summit in Detroit. A couple of us are going to go to that. We had some conversations last week at EMS Expo. That was good to visit with a lot of the folks that are on this call and are typically on this call. But nothing too overwhelming that hasn't already been discussed. But we're looking forward to continuing the whole blood conversation. And today's conversation was wildly instrumental. So that was a great conversation. We appreciate that.
Okay, good. Hey, also, I was up there with our current president of NAMT he had moved, right? And was supposed to give me his updated email address. So if you can get that to me, I'd appreciate that. Okay.
Yep. I'll just text it to you now.
Okay, good. While I'm here, I'm just seeing Ben's name. And so Ben and Jenny, are you there? And it's the Ben and Jenny show. Okay. So
I try to be inclusive. She sits.
Benny and Jenny. All right. Well, listen. So, anything out of Baltimore?
Status quo. We're still continuing, and I think the 4th week of nurse navigation, largely success. We've got to really hone down on some dispatch protocols, introducing some non-emergency determinants. Still working on blood, and I think those are the biggest updates here. We have expanded. I was going to talk to Nick Simpson because we've expanded buprenorphine across the state level, but have not had nearly as much success as Hennepin County. But I was reviewing his protocols, and I did see that it's on all ambulances and less restrictive than it is in Maryland. But
yeah, okay, got it. Hey, what dispatch system do you use there, by the way?
ProQA.
Yeah. Okay.
EMG cards. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Good. Thanks. Great seeing you. Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
Jenny, hi, Jenny. And there's Jeff.
Looks different.
I don't know what's going on with the light, but
yeah,
good to see everybody.
Yeah, good to see you too, sir. Since I'm just looking at the name in front of me, David, anything happen in Vancouver? I'm sorry to catch you off guard, but you never know when I'm going to call on you.
Yeah, all good. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I would also say sort of status quo here. I think I continue to make slow and steady progress towards what I think is my sort of the long-term thing that excites me, which is our ability to get a linked data set for the entire province of British Columbia. I think we've developed a sort of acuity scoring system to pull out of our PCR to check our dispatch, how our dispatch prioritization framework is working, and I'm getting some indicators of we're finally moving getting through the bureaucratic hurdles to get that done. Otherwise, yeah, pretty much the same old, same old. To Mark Gautreau's point, one of the interesting things I can say is there's a few Canadians who are circling in the California pool. I remember when I did my fellowship, working with Mark Gautreau, there were Canadian nurses that I recognized who were quietly going to Stanford for the good pay, who would take the 2-hour flight down. So yeah.
Great. So anyway, okay, here's an interesting question before I go to John Chu. Interesting question is that, and I may put you on the spot. So since you're a West Coaster, are you in favor of the Dodgers, or since you're Canadian, are you in favor of the Blue Jays?
You know what's hard is I when I was a kid, I cheered for the Expos. So I am doing my patriotic duty and cheering for the Blue Jays on this one. So
all right, we'll see how it goes tonight, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. John, you had your hand up, John Chu.
Yeah, I'm really interested in your linkage, David. How did you actually determine the acuity? What system did you use? We're trying to do the same thing in Portland. We're combining the, as you know, the United States ESI code and actually coding them, retrocoding the EMS by assessments as well as procedures. Does that make sense? That's what we're doing. What are you guys doing?
So the very short summation is we use sort of 5-point scales like ESI, pre-hospital CTAS. We use that as an inspiration, and we created, our own novel protocol. We did it as 4 points, and we used a combination based on paramedic impression codes, which are unique to BC, but also logic based on vital signs. We think we're close to the mark, but it has not been validated. So what we're doing with the linked data is we're going to validate our acuity score based on the last set of vital signs, which is closest in time to the CTAS calculation that the nurses will do when the patient arrives at the ED. So that's what we're moving towards. But hopefully I'll be able to report to this group and share the logic behind it once it's validated.
Yeah, please let me know. We'd love it. But either for our meeting in June or even earlier for our group here to keep us updated. And just starting to talk about linking data and all that and dispatch systems as well is, I don't know if many people know, but going back over to Toronto, Michael, actually, you were a dispatcher at one time, weren't you?
That was way before we used MPDS. And yeah, and that would be
was there a black and white TV still?
We had a DOS-based CAD that you would have to boot off a 5.25-inch floppy disk.
Right, which weren't floppy. They were solid, which is always a funny concept. I know there were floppy disks, but then the other ones that became hard were still called floppy disks. It was funny. Well, anyways, anything you'd add to that discussion, by the way? Or
I've always been interested in the kind of thing that David's been doing is linking, and John Chu as well, linking MPDS determinants to patient acuity. And I've done some work in this area and talked to David. I think it's very helpful when people like David and others do this because, no perfect precision is possible for, in dispatch, but improving precision is always desirable.
Yeah. And then there's always a slippery slope of the AI issue there that they use in dispatch as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out later on. Okay. I'll have to say I really had a big distrust for GPS systems when they first started because they were just all off. And if you use Lyft, they're all off as well. But nowadays it's amazing how well they work and can almost to the minute get you to where you're going. And so hopefully that'll all improve, but I have a current distrust of that approach, but we got to learn from it sometime. So it'll be.
I mean, that being said, AI is a very interesting space to work in MPDS or virtually any priority-based or criteria-based dispatch protocol. You're answering a lot of yes/no questions, so the variables seem dichotomous, but the variables are actually continuous variables. And so when
they're multifactorial too.
Right. So when you get the patient age, MPDS treats somebody with chest pain over 35 and under 35 differently, but an AI might treat somebody with an age of 55 versus 85 versus 90 differently because it's a continuous variable. So there is a little bit of room in this space. And you know, I'm not even talking about AI hallucinations. There might be actually some data points there that we're leaving on the table and not using.
Okay, got it. Well, listen, since we're on the hallucinating era, let's go over to Stein Bronski. Stein, anything to report out of Colorado? Sorry if I caught you off base there, Stein. If
No,
not, I
just couldn't find the mute button. Sorry, that's it. No, things are going well in Colorado. We're hot and heavy in the middle of procuring funding for Avive AEDs in the 4-minute community. Sort of going along the same lines as what Miramontes was saying. We're really trying to build a system like that. That's the biggest thing at the moment, and we're just about to buy a few of the heads-up CPRs, Elicards, to try out.
Sounds good. And then I just so you know, I had a great time last week with Kate in Indianapolis.
Great.
It was really good. She was terrific. All right, so and appreciate you introducing me to her because she's just terrific. Anything going on in Montgomery County, Roger? What's up there? And we only got a couple of minutes left here.
Yeah, good. I guess my camera's not pointing over. Okay, there you go. Sorry.
Oh, we see Montgomery County.
No, it's good. There's a couple things really I wanted to talk about real briefly. We have been invited to the discussion section of our protocol review committee. That's a part of the agenda where you don't necessarily drop a protocol review packet for official request for a protocol change, but you vet with the group whether it would be worth a packet. And one of the things we've been working on, and I mentioned before, was adding to our point of care ultrasound indication the use of wall motion, which was previously allowed for other applications, but wall motion for the purposes of determining the salvageability of a potential very, very hypotensive traumatic PEA arrest, and using that to make a determination of whether someone's possibly more likely to benefit from a unit of blood. I know that some of the early data has been dismal about giving blood to the arrest patient in general in traumatic arrest, but we have among single digits of units we've done for that, we did have a very good survival story, maybe 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 kind of a thing, and I know the numbers were lower for others. So we're going to discuss that, and it looks like the state will allow us to add that as an indication. The question I had for the group, which I think is really interesting, is there a criteria about what would be more likely to accommodations to give our medic the group of criteria that would make it so it's a reasonable judgment call to give that unit? Would it be less than 10 minutes, either witness or less than 10 minutes, plus wall motion, plus they have a history of continuous CPR since you got to them? Is there a 10-minute thing that would be better? That way you're not wasting a unit on someone who's less likely to survive. So I'm definitely interested in whether colleagues have an opinion about that, because Chris Caldwell and then other people at NMSP had talked about the article that talks about the promise of wall motion as a prognostic indicator for survivability for traumatic PEA arrest. The second thing is we are well over 100 units of blood given so far, and that is definitely going very well. So that's what one more thing. Sorry, we are interested, if a study is ever done, to be, and it might be one of the first in Maryland to have a prospective randomized study, multi-center, for whether Narcan is really better in cardiac arrest. I know John Dewey has interest in that, but the Rob Rodriguez study out of San Francisco and his colleagues were saying that it's promising, but they definitely need a prospective trial. If that were to happen, and you know of other people that are actually going to sign on to that, and they're looking for systems, we'd be interested in getting in some early meetings for Narcan prospective study for cardiac arrest. Those were the two things. Yeah.
Okay, got it. John, are you still on, John Jew? Do you know of anything along those lines, by the way?
Hey, Roger, we'd be really interested in that. Obviously, I agree with you regarding prospective study, but the group is heterogeneous. In other words, where the Narcan actually worked was in our patients with opiate overdose. And obviously, that would make sense from a physiological point of view. What we don't know would be naloxone in the asystole, in other words, PEA, cardiac arrest, where there is no information. And that's what the California study implied. Does that make sense? So the answer is yes, we would love a collaborative study, and we would be highly interested.
Yeah, my understanding is that Rod Rodriguez, who's moved, I believe, from UCSF to UC Riverside or Irvine, was still interested in where that goes, because he was co-authored some of the retrospective studies that were promising. But thanks very much for chiming in. I appreciate that a lot.
Hey, I'm going to interrupt. They got Bill Balmer there with the cardiology aspect. Is there any, I would say, theoretical reason that naloxone, there's much more than just opiate reversal on the cardiac arrest and from the cardiac standpoint?
No, there's not anything that would be physiologic at this point for naloxone in a non-opioid arrest.
Hey, John, let's bring that up again. Maybe you could do your presentation that you did at the Eagles maybe next week or the week after, maybe on the 17th and 7/24.
Okay.
And Nick Burgraff is always on with us, and we'll prepare him, and maybe you could reach out to him to see find out, because he's done all this research, obviously, in the lab, right?
Right.
Maybe you guys could prepare something together. Would you mind doing that?
Yeah, Roger, no, get a hold of me and we'll talk on that area as well. So the California study was really intriguing because they looked at the whole cohort.
Yeah, but you will communicate with Nick, because he may have some insight for you there. That'd be great. All right, it's top of the hour here. Try to see if there's anybody else I missed here today. Rob Glatterer, since we have you on, anything to report, or are you enjoying today's conversation?
Yeah, enjoying. Nothing else to report yet. There was a study out actually that I heard with AI looking at diagnosing STEMI, which presented at JAC recently, and there was relatively good correlation with emergency physicians' interpretation, but in some cases it was even better. And I'm curious, as AI evolves, and obviously we're leery about computer algorithm interpretations of EKGs. How we would see this fitting in, even pre-hospital, trusting what we see and whether AI can deliver. And that really is, to me, very interesting.
Yeah. And like I said, I think we're at that stage where I have a mistrust. When I deal with the robots I deal with the robots every day at AT&T or City Card or whoever else. It's just like, I waste so much time. So, but I think, like, my point was, I had the same feeling about GPS systems, 25 years ago, and now they're very, very good, and, when you're trying to get to a place. So, I think it will evolve, but in the meantime, it's just like those blood pressure cups. You can't trust them.
Exactly. But their point was that it saved resources, and according to the study, it was a small study. I'll send it to you. But it was able to.
What I'm also worried about is that it takes away human beings from working.
Right, and that's right, exactly.
Yeah.
But cath lab activations are costly, not as we all know, resource-wise in any hospital. And that's the point I was trying to.
Well, we could bring it up. And Bill, any initial reaction? Because I got to get everybody off the call. But any reaction to that, Bill, or you want to bring it up as a topic sometime?
Sure. Sounds interesting.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll get you guys together. You could talk about it.
And I'd love to
find out what it is, and then do a presentation for us. That'll be kind of fun.
Absolutely.
All right, good. I think I got everybody else. Joseph, anything you could report out of Carolina?
Just two items real quick.
Yeah.
I don't want to take any of the Wake EMS thunder away, but they presented to the Public Safety Committee a reduction in red light and siren response across the whole spectrum of dispatch, except for time critical events.
Who did that?
I'm sorry?
Who did this? Who did that?
John Studnick, who's the EMS director, and Jose Cabanas.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So a future report on where that goes. The other thing that was interesting that I heard about today is planning for civil unrest related to the SNAP shutdown.
Yeah.
And access to food.
Yeah. So that could be interesting. We'll see how it goes. And then what will happen with that is this is my prediction, is that just like the yellow vest thing that happened in France, that was all made sense and did right, and then actually went pretty well. But then it gets infiltrated by perpetrators. So we put it that way, a better that. So yeah, we do have to be prepared for that. I wish I could get Pierre back on to talk about that, because that's in his chapter, he wrote a lot about that, and it was very, very interesting stuff. So, all right, well, let's keep that in the back. Let's talk about that maybe next week if I remember, or if you can remind me, send me an email, and I'll put it on and say, is anybody seeing any civil unrest there, etc., and so on. But I guess that's it. Looks like we've done pretty well here. Capture everybody, and almost everybody's gone. Glenn, anything else to add to what you talked about before? We kind of talked about New York already, right?
No, yeah, that's it.
Okay, good. Thanks for being on as usual. Just love seeing you here. So a lot of people were busy today in the ER. Crawford, Tiffany. I could just go on and on. There were a lot of people, and then a lot of people on airplanes. So I bet you Eileen's was supposed to get on around noon, but I think her flight was delayed, right? Like everybody else's. So we're going to see more of that. I actually have canceled some of my flights that were coming up that were optional in a way, because I just wouldn't want to be waiting at the airport for 5 hours, that kind of thing, and then going home. So we'll see how that goes, right? Okay, well, with that, welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Next week on November 7th, as I said, we got a couple really cool topics coming up. And so I'm looking forward to that as we move on. Okay, thanks again. Take care, everybody.
Happy Halloween. Bye.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What was I supposed to say? Trick or treat, right?
That's right.
Is the patient a trick or is it a treatable? That's right. Okay, that's good. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.